Did you know that 70% of people actually fear public speaking more than death? Or at least they think they do. Well, today we're going to show you how to create impactful presentations that can inspire confidence and make your ideas stand out. So, welcome to Business English Success Strategies, a part of Mastering English Communication. And today we're going to unlock the secrets to effective business presentations. And this does not matter that English may be your second or third or fourth or fifth language. These are key elements, and we're going to share it from that context. First out, you have to understand your audience. You cannot get up and talk to anyone and not know anything about them, have no idea who they are, why they're there, what you're expected to say, the message you're trying to deliver. You need to understand your audience. You want to know something about your listeners so you can tailor your message to their needs. It's all about them. It's not about you. So their needs, their interests, and their expectations. You also want to adapt to group size. You deliver a message one way, physically, vocally, to 10 people, but you do it a little bit differently if there are 100 people. You do it a little bit differently if there's 500. You do it a little bit differently if it's 1,000. I think you get the idea. You're going to adjust to the group size. You're going to adjust your speaking style for small or large audiences. And then, of course, you're going to focus on relevance. You want to highlight the benefits that matter the most to your specific audience, not the benefits that matter the most to you or the benefits you would like to matter to them, but the benefits that matter the most to your specific audience. And next, you want to craft a compelling narrative. You want to identify the main point. So you've done some homework because now you're going to determine your core message. You're going to gather support. So by support, you're going to collect data. You're going to do a little bit of research, collect examples, collect stories, or any relevant information that's going to be beneficial to helping you to deliver the message that your audience wants. And then you're going to arrange things logically. You're going to organize your content in a very clear and precise and engaging sequence. Now, of course, you want to use visual aids. Sometimes you may not, right? But if you're going to be doing a presentation, many times you're going to be using some kind of visual aids. It could be presentation software, such as I'm using now, or maybe it's something physical you have with you on stage or people, whatever it is, right? But let's assume that you're going to be doing something more traditional and you're going to be using an effective visual aid. First off, you want to keep it simple. If you're doing a presentation, you want to use very clear, uncluttered slides with minimal text. I think you see that in the way I'm presenting to you now. You want to use high quality images. So that means the visuals that you're using must support and clarify your main points in some way, right? It doesn't have to be super duper precise because it may not be that kind of thing. But in general, the visual lends some type of support to what you're speaking about. And then you want to minimize distractions. So avoid excessive animations or transitions. Some people are very skilled at doing that. I can tell you I'm not. So I keep it simple. But there are some people who, the world that they are presenting in and delivering their message in, and that their audience is in and expects, this a method like that might be more welcoming of what we might think of as excessive animations or transitions. Okay, so here's the work, the power of practice. So you want to practice in the mirror. You can start by rehearsing in front of the mirror. Actually, I'll even add something up front. I suggest you start practicing without the mirror first, just for a little bit, and then start practicing in front of the mirror so you're comfortable with the message you're delivering and you're not becoming overly distracted by how you look in the mirror so that it distracts from being able to practice the message. That way you can practice the message, and then in concert with that, you'll be able to then fine tune your body language. You want to present to a small group of trusted friends, colleagues, or people who you associate with that will give you constructive, objective, and honest feedback in a supportive way. And then, of course, you can record yourself. If you're like me, you probably don't love your voice, but uh, but self-recording is a good thing. So record and review your delivery for improvement. So we know communication is not just verbal, it's actually body language. So depending upon the culture you're in, so as someone from the United States, uh, we have a certain body language as business professionals that the audience would expect to see, or the people you meet would expect to see. So for argument's sake, I stand up straight. I make sure my posture is correct, right? Which it almost normally is. And of course, I give a firm handshake, right? No weak handshakes. We're very tuned into handshakes in the business world. So a firm handshake, and I have direct contact, eye contact, uh, just for a few seconds, nothing prolonged and uncomfortable, just for a few seconds to say, I'm here, you're here, we're connected, let's do what we came here to do. All right. And that's the same whether you're meeting one person or multiple people. I do that when I have an audience. I just, for a second or two, I just look at them, make contact, and then continue with how I'm going to deliver the presentation. And then have appropriate smiling. There is appropriate smiling, there is nervous smiling, there is excessive smiling, and there is inappropriate smiling. So you want to know uh, how you look. That's the whole point of that mirror that we mentioned a little bit earlier. But the other thing I want to add, even though you may be speaking English, you may not be in the United States or the United Kingdom or Australia. You could be in some other environment where the language that is being used for business is English, but the culture or the cultures are different. So you do want to make yourself aware of the cultural environment that you're in, so that you understand whether it's appropriate to shake hands, if it's appropriate to make eye contact and smiling, and in what way should you do that, if at all. Then vocal variety, okay, tone variation. Adjust your tone to convey different emotions and emphasis. Then make sure you're not speaking too quickly. I try to speak in measured tones, control my pace, and vary the speaking speed where I want to emphasize something. This is a way for me to maintain audience interest and comprehension. You can do the same. There's no secret to that. You just have to discover what works for you. And the only way to do that is, that's the other slide that we saw earlier, practice. And then volume dynamics. Use volume changes to highlight key points and create emphasis. So handling questions and feedback. Well, number one, if you have not listened to any of my other material, please do go. And in fact, if you're finding this material valuable, please do give us a like. I would appreciate it, and it helps us understand what the audience likes so we can do more of it. But I emphasize listening actively, not just listening, waiting for the other person to stop talking, but taking in what they're saying so I can in turn communicate, respond clearly. I can then be honest, and I can follow up with any additional questions. And certainly if I'm going into a business environment, I want to be prepared for potential questions. Always be polite and professional. Right? And of course, we're not super geniuses. We're not human AIs. Sometimes we will need to tell people we'll get back to you because we're going to do a little research, get the correct answer. But we also want to have something called a strong conclusion. And to have a strong conclusion, you want to summarize your key points. You also want to reinforce why these key points are important. Don't assume that the audience remembers everything you're saying, particularly if what you're presenting is going to be on a little bit on the longer side. And then have some type of call to action. So you'll see that shortly. I'm going to demonstrate it to you. But you certainly want to end with a powerful message. And most importantly, you don't want to be passive about it. You want to encourage audience action. You want to leave an impression on them that will be a little bit more long lasting. Now, even though I'm not going to do a session on this today, I'm going to mention this because storytelling is impactful. We all spend a lot of times watching something visual, whether it's movies, TVs, news, documentaries, other people who are going about their lives, whatever it is that we're watching. But storytelling, done the right way, engages emotions, and it connects with the audiences on an emotional level. And when we connect emotionally, we're taking things in a way that helps us remember them, and it will have more impact. It also allows us to enhance memory, right? As I just mentioned, we're going to take things in and we're going to be better able to remember them. So narratives make information more memorable and relatable, which of course makes them more memorable. And then we're going to bridge concepts. We're going to use stories to link complex ideas to familiar experiences. So at this point, I'm going to say, if you're an intermediate level English speaker, that's okay. You can do the things I'm talking about at that level. Obviously, at an advanced level, you can. And you might want to work more on the mechanics of delivering the speech or the presentation. And then overcoming presentation anxiety. Remember what I said about the statistics? 70% of people fear getting up in front of a group of people and speaking more than death. At least they think they do, as I said. But how do you relieve that? Well, deep breathing. You practice calming breaths before presenting. The oxygen calms you down. Then you have positive visualization. Imagine a successful presentation, what it looks like as you are being successful in the activity of presenting to the audience. And then preparation. Nothing produces anxiety more than being unprepared. All right. So prepare and practice. That's why I gave you the tips on how best to practice. Then, of course, technology. We can't escape it unless we're just in front of a group of people and it's just us and a microphone of some type. But you might want to have interactive elements of some type. And now when you're doing, especially with a live audience, you do, and it's going to be more of an extended time period, 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour. You do want to have interactive elements. It helps them become physically engaged, which is very powerful in terms of being able to actively listen and to relate and to remember more. Then you want to have multimedia integration where appropriate. You might want to incorporate relevant videos or animations. But remember, sometimes less is more with this type of thing, not so much that it becomes a distraction instead of an addition. And then sometimes live polling. When I do trainings, certain types of trainings, I will put in, especially if it's an hour, I might put in two, sometimes even three polls that reflect on what the audience should be taking away. And the other thing is you want to get to know what is your preferred mode of presenting, but also you also want to practice being in live or in person, being virtual, and being hybrid, because that's the world that we live in now. You're going to be doing some version of all of those. And it's good to become comfortable, even if you're not expert in all of them, become comfortable. And there's a lot of material out there, both online, in video, and places such as YouTube. Um, so there's plenty of help. You would just have to go through it and decide what makes the most sense for you with your time schedule and budget. Key takeaways for effective presentations. Know your audience, tailor your message to their needs and interests. Practice delivering, all right? So refine your speaking skills. Practice your speaking skills. You may think some people are born speakers. Everyone has to practice. There's no such thing as a born speaker. Most of us are born and can speak. It doesn't mean anyone is going to listen to us. All right, so refine your speaking skills through consistent practice. Remember the storytelling. Craft a compelling narrative that engages and persuades. Sometimes that's telling something very short about yourself. Right? Nothing wrong with that. And embrace feedback. Remember, positive feedback, even though it may not necessarily be something you want to hear, if done correctly in a positive, supportive way, you'll be able to incorporate those changes or suggestions and become better. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, thought it was valuable, like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you in the very near future as we continue our linguistic adventure together. Take care, everyone.